Here we are with another edition of GW Unspoken, where we discuss stuff we don't typically talk about, but probably should. And I think it's number 3 here with Jamie Harrison. How are you, mate?
It is. Hey, Gary.
It's number 3, isn't it?
It is 3. Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Mate, how you going right now out of 5? 5's awesome. 1's terrible. How are you feeling today?
5.
5? Pretty high?
Yep, feeling good.
Yeah. What are you grateful for at the moment?
I'm grateful for having the opportunity to race buggies at the moment. That's the biggest thing going on in my life.
Yeah,
So,
well,
really.
I just walked in and we're at, we can't see at the moment, we're at Jamie's house, and I'm really grateful, mate. You invited me in here.
Welcome.
Walked past the buggy, and oh my gosh, I'm always a little nervous when we do the podcast because you're always holding something back, and there's something new that's happened, and we had a little bit of chat in the way.
Always
in,
a
and,
surprise.
Oh, mate. I mean, what was it? Last time we discussed, I think you're going over to the buggy. I mean, the journey's gone so well from us having this podcast and chatting from being in the hospital bed and getting out of the hospital bed and racing at Fink again.
Yep.
And then into the buggy. So should we start the journey? Let's go back. I think you've had a couple of races since we chatted.
Yeah,
mate. How about we unpack the real Jamie today and talk about what's actually happened the last couple of races?
Yeah. I can't remember where we left off, but it was prior to Fink.
Yeah.
So that was the big goal at the time, was to get back into a buggy and get back into racing. The buggy was a focus of mine. Was planted in my head, as I said before, that lying after the accident, lying in Alice Springs, on the slab, so to speak, waiting to get shipped down to Adelaide for surgery and all that sort of stuff. And one of the boys said, "Listen, don't worry, we'll get you in a buggy." And that stayed with me the whole journey. That was the light sort of at the end of the tunnel, despite, obviously getting my life back in order and discovering who I was and all these other things.
Yeah.
At the time, the buggy was it, and it was such a good thing to have planted in my head. So yeah, look, we had to go through a whole bunch of steps to make that happen.
Yeah.
One of them obviously to be qualified and get a license and all that sort of thing. So that was very difficult because to get your license, an off-road license, you've got to prove you can get out of the car within 10 seconds. It was 10 seconds. It's changed to 15 now. But at the time that I did it, I had an official come out from Motorsport Australia, sit there with a stopwatch and go, right, you're in the car, you got your helmet on, you're fully buckled up in a 5-point harness, get out of the car. Wow. And you had to do it in under 10 seconds. So to do that, obviously I can't do it, or not obviously, but I couldn't do it with the way the car was currently set up with the roll cage and the configuration and that sort of thing. So I had to get the cage modified so that, one, it was still safe enough for me to race, and Motorsport Australia allowed the modifications. So I had to change some of where the bars were in the roll cage and that sort of thing to allow me better access. So a lot of expense before I even got my license.
Yeah, wow.
So I had to get all that modified, paid for all that. They approved the modifications, which just opened up the door area a bit for me, allowed access. And then, got the officials out, and they said, "Righto, boy, away you go."
And do you get a few attempts? Like, how does it go?
You do get a couple of attempts.
Yeah.
I'd practiced a little bit.
Yeah.
And then I'd got there early that day and did a couple of runs myself, and I was confident, but I never actually put the stopwatch on.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm just going to wing it. I feel like it's under 10 seconds, but I can only do what I can only do. So, 9.5 seconds.
Oh,
had heaps of time to spare.
What were you doing, mate? You got a scratch or something on the way up.
Adjust or something. So I was really happy with that. So I got the license, and then it was a matter of, right, let's get into some racing. So to do Fink also, you've got to qualify and have some race experience. So they said to me, and any other competitor, mind you, you've got to show us that you've done 2 races to show that you've got a little bit of racecraft or a little bit of race knowledge before we allow you to race something like Fink.
Yeah.
So despite me racing all those years on a bike, this was now in a car. So I was basically ground zero. I was like a newbie. Yeah, so despite my pleas and my letters to them to say, look, boys, I've been racing this thing since 07.
Yeah.
I've been on the podium in my class, and I obviously know racecraft. I know preparation. I know all these sorts of things. And they said, yeah, but mate, this is the car. It's different. And I sort of agree with it. I didn't take it to heart.
Yeah.
So to do that, we had to do a couple of races. And the first one was Nabiac down just near Newcastle, and went down there. Didn't have a navigator. So I yelled out to one of my mates down there, Phil, and I said, listen, mate, I don't have a navigator, right? can you put a shout out around amongst the pits, see if there's anyone that's willing to jump in. So, that was interesting. I had the car. The car only arrived from Sydney the day before, so I hadn't seen the car in 3 months. I hadn't had a chance to practice. I'd never used the hand control. I'd used the hand controls once for about 5 minutes. So, to say that I didn't really know how to drive it is a fair statement. I was definitely a rookie at it. I had no navigator. I didn't know what the car could do in terms of how it handled, all this sort of stuff.
All over it, mate. You're ready to go.
Yeah, so much for preparation, right? Anyway, turned up to Nabiac. Phil asked around the pits, hey, any of you boys want to be a navigator? Now, he's a front runner. He wins these races pretty much outright most times.
Yeah, right.
So a whole bunch of boys said, yeah, thinking they're going to go with Phil. They're like, yeah, mate, I'll be your nav. And anyway, one old fella, Les, God bless him, and I'm glad that I met him, and great guy. But he was there to watch his son. He said, oh, why are you stuck, Phil? He said, oh, yeah, I'll be your navigator. I'm sure I can borrow someone's suit and someone's helmet. And, And he goes, yeah, okay, well, listen, if you want to be navigator, just go see that bloke over there in the wheelchair. And Les's face just dropped. He's like, oh, what have I said yes to? So introduced myself. Hey, mate, I had a little bit of confidence about me. Like, we'll make this work. We'll work it out, whatever. And anyway, Les jumped in. He had a borrowed suit. He had a borrowed helmet. And we had a ball. What did we end up? We ended up, I think it was 5th.
Wow.
And it just had a great weekend. So
that's crazy.
To say I had the bug was definitely ingrained then. But that was we finished. We did well. So that was a tick box. That was one race towards Fink, and then just had to get one more.
Yeah.
But when you do these races, you've got to go to sanctioned event races. You can't just go to a backyard sort of race. It's got to be run by the governing body.
Okay. Yeah.
So there was only one more race left before Fink. For me to get the 2-race qualification scenario, and they cancelled the race.
Oh.
And I was like, oh, I'm done. 3 years in the making.
I'm cooked. That's it.
I'm, my heart really sank. I've spent all this money on the buggy because Fink. I mean, I could have raced local races, but Fink was the goal, right? There was for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what to do, and then luckily they reached out. This is Motorsport Australia, and said, look. We understand that this last race has been cancelled just due to weather. Been rained under. We'll give you the certificate. Basically, we'll give you the endorsement.
Wow!
And away you go. So as soon as I got that, it was just green light.
Your emotions must have gone from almost crying to ecstatic.
Correct. Yeah, I was heartbroken. Because in my head, you remember. So mentally, it was 3 years in the making. Even though it might have taken me the last 8 months, 10 months to get this buggy right.
Yeah.
But mentally I'd been going over this scenario over and over and over. So Fink, here we come.
Ecstatic.
It was really good. And then we had to get ready for Fink. So Fink, whether you're doing a bike, even if as a spectator to drive all the way to Alice Springs and come back, it's logistically it's pretty big, right? It's to get over there, it's 3 days in the car, just to drive to get there.
That's insane.
I was lucky that due to this one of your podcasts, one of my mates who works for TJM, I don't know if I've told you this story actually, no?
Yeah, you called it. Yeah.
So,
but I don't think we've actually talked about it on the podcast, but it's exciting how you got that opportunity these guys back to.
Have we covered this on the podcast? I'm not sure.
No, we haven't. No, we haven't.
So,
no.
One of the boys that I've known for a long time, since moving to Brisbane in 2000. He was one of the first boys I met. But anyway, he works for TJM and he's a bike rider. So he was riding along one day and he listened to one of our podcasts, the first one we did in the hospital.
Yeah.
And he rings up one day and just says, listen, mate, I want to do something for you. I want to help you get to Fink. So I was like, yep, mate, I'll take whatever help I can get, right? I'm trying to do this on my own sort of thing.
Yeah.
He said, well, listen, and I knew he's with TJM. He said, why don't you come in one day? Why don't you come into the office and we'll sit down and have a chat. So I sort of thought I was just going in to chat to him, right? So I've sort of rocked up, just jeans and a T-shirt, thinking I'm just going to catch up with my mate Darren, you know. And he says, I go to reception and, they call him and he says, mate, look, we're all here. We'll come on in and we're just going to, everyone's in the boardroom. Boardroom? What do you mean boardroom? I thought it was just you and me over a coffee. So I roll into the boardroom and there's a whole bunch of these people looking at me like, right,
Wow.
marketing, head of engineering, the leading hand of the workshop.
All the big wigs are in one room.
And they just said, right, how do we make this work for you?
That's
I was
amazing.
like, oh, wow, okay, this is really, really good. And I'm sort of looking at Darren thinking, mate, is this real? Like, it was a little bit surreal for me at the time. And they said, what's the, what, if you, to give us a wish list, what do you want?
Yeah.
And I didn't want to ask for too much. I sort of just said, well, I'd love just my trailer to be finished because I hadn't had my trailer finished yet. And yeah, sure enough, they came to the party. So, thanks to TJM, they put this trailer together that allowed me to camp. So I'd never been camping before. So there was a lot of things that we're doing as a first off. So, we're going to Alice Springs, we're going to the desert. How am I going to camp? As a guy in a wheelchair, how am I going to have a shower in this desert? How am I going to use the amenities in the desert? Because I was in my safe bubble at home. It's great to have the shower set up for me here. Yeah. It's great to have the toilet and everything, those things that I need or wheelchair people need or disability guys need. We had to design something and make something that would work for me in the desert. So we did that with the trailer. So as much as that trailer, you've walked past it, it just looks like a pretty plain trailer. Yeah. But it's got all these attachments that we can throw on, and I've got a toilet and then I've got a shower and I've got all these things that make it work for me. So, mate, it was just it worked. Everything worked. It really was really good. So, it was still stressful. Yeah. Because I was packing a car. I met a guy the day before, jumping in a car for 3 days with him, who was going to come over and do some filming.
Okay, yeah.
He was a friend of one of the boys at TJM, because I reached out and said, I want to film this. I want to capture it some way, but I don't want to do it myself. I want someone to just have the camera there, just filming all the bits and pieces, behind the scenes stuff, sort of,
it was, and the main reason for that, so the people can actually see your journey and try and feel what you're feeling and get the emotion of what you're feeling. Was it more of something you can keep for yourself? Go, look, this is the adversity I've been through, and this is where I'm my journey.
No, well, a bit of both, but I wanted to share it.
Yeah,
because it's different when you prepare yourself and you grab the camera yourself and you sort of know your dialogue and you go, right, this is what I'm about to do, and you talk into the camera and you do your little set or whatever. Yeah. But when someone's filming, you don't even know, and they're just capturing the raw stuff. So that's sort of what I wanted. Yeah. So Al, shout out to Al. He did a great job. He had a drone, which was good. So captured some really nice stuff. Especially some of the remoteness of where we were. Yeah. When you see it from the sky and you go, you're 100K, you're camping 100 Ks out of Alice Springs. There's nothing around, no power, no water, no nothing. You're out there. So
in the elements. Yep.
Out in the elements. Look, we did the trip over, 3 days in the car with, there was three of us, and no dramas, except when you get to Alice Springs, we got there late in the afternoon on the third day. We said, right, let's quick do a food shop and then we'll head out, because all the boys that I know over the years are always camp at the same spot. And I hadn't spoken to them for a couple of days, but I knew that they were there, and I knew where to go. So we do a food shop, and then we head out. Now, mind you, we're camping, as I said, 100 Ks out. So it's 100 Ks of dirt. And we get to kilometre 98. We can nearly see the camp.
I know this is going. I don't know, but I'm guessing this is going.
The trailer's got two axles. It's a car trailer. The front axle comes out of the trailer. And we come grinding to a halt. Right, we've just done 3 days of driving with this thing. Oh, no. And everyone, we're like, far out, what are we going to do? It's not nowhere. No reception. You can't, Now I had a mountain bike, right? It's an electric mountain bike, and I had that because I was going to use that to pre-run or go around the qualifying track, which is only about 8 Ks. Right? Yeah. Most people walk it, and I used to walk it in the day. Yeah. But obviously I needed something, so I took that. So I said to the boys that I was with, I said, right, I've got an idea. Grab the mountain bike off the trailer, right? Grab one of those TJM headlamps, right? They're just little camping headlamps that you see. Yeah. I said, throw me in that mountain bike. I'll be back. I'm like, what do you mean you'll be back? Like, we've just been travelling for a couple of hours on this dirt road. Where are you going to go on a mountain bike? I said, no, just hear me out. So off I rode. They said all they saw was this little candle light dwindling into the distance, and then you were gone, and it was silence.
Pitch black.
So mind you, whatever it was, 15, 20 minutes later, I turn up to this campsite. Now, you could picture any campsite, right? The fire's crackling, the boys are all sitting in their chairs around having chats.
A couple of beers.
And in out of nowhere rolls this bloke on a mountain bike with a head torch.
The Messiah has arrived.
He's like, and they're like, we saw this little light coming, but we didn't know it wasn't a car. It wasn't a bike. We didn't know what it was. And
they probably thought they were smoking something they shouldn't be smoking around the fire.
So I rocked up in typical fashion, just said, hey, boys, how's it going? And they're like, what's the... And I said, look, I'm buggered. I'm only a couple of Ks down, but grab a jack, grab some straps, grab the utes, come and give us a hand. So that's where the adventure started, right, from the first night. Anyway, we got back to the camp and got the trailer back to the camp. And look, this story can go on. There's so much to it. But, we ended up staying camping. We got rained in most of the time because the rain was bad. So I was hoping for a couple of days of pre-running in the buggy because I wanted to race the buggy at speed. I'd driven it obviously to race, but it's very different at maximum speed, at 145, 150 Ks that these things could do, particularly over the rough terrain. So that's what made me nervous, not knowing the track, any of that. It was how I would handle the buggy and if I could handle the buggy at speed. So I wanted to go up and pre-run. Because of the weather, we only got one day. And in that one day, I couldn't do the whole track. So we had to pick the roughest part of the track, get there, test it, and just go, right, that's it. It's your one day. There's your couple of hours. The next time you're in the buggy is race day. I got a feel for it pretty quickly. And the track came back to me in terms of the layout of the track sort of came back to me, even though I hadn't been on it for 3 years. Yeah. But because I've ridden over it so many times over the years prior, I remembered it. So race day comes. We qualified probably mid-pack. I can't even remember. And then after race day 1, I was 5th, which was great. I had a really good run. I did have a sketchy section where I left the track and sort of went through the trees a bit. Yeah. And that sort of caught me by surprise.
Did that have any impact on you, like from your previous accident? Like, did it give you flashbacks or any negative connotations with that? Or
no, it was very interesting though, going past the crash site.
Yeah, okay. I just imagine. Yeah,
I'd prepped myself mentally. Yeah, mind you, I'd driven past it when we were driving out that night in the car. So I sort of remembered when I got to about the 82 kilometre mark. I thought, the crash site's around here. It was dark, but I remember thinking, the crash site's just over there somewhere. Anyway, keep going sort of thing, driving along. But then to be on the racetrack and actually pretty much come over the same crest that got me, that felt a little bit different. Yeah. But I was determined not to let it sort of unsettle me. Yeah. I just thought, whatever, really, And look, we made it in day 1, 5th, and did the overnighter down at Fink, and came back the next day. Had a very sketchy moment. We were just about 25 Ks out, so we're having a good run on the way back home. I figured leaving on day 2 in 5th position. In my head, I thought, right, well, one guy in front of me, out of the 4 in front of me, one guy's going to have a mechanical for sure, a DNF. So that puts me up into 4th, and I reckon I'll catch one guy at least. So I'm a chance for a podium here. Yeah. That's what I was thinking. So I'll just keep it straight, keep it on the track. And the navigator, I had a shout out to him, Jeremy. He was great. He's a guy that's got a lot of experience and, overseas navigating. He kept me sort of calm because a couple of times there I was sort of pushing it too hard, and you can wreck the car. Anyway, I had 20 out of the 220 Ks that you do each day, so 440 Ks all up sort of thing, we're down to the last 25 Ks. And I came over this crest, and as I came over the crest, it was quite a sharp, sandy crest, and I fell into a big whoop. And what it did is the car actually sort of bottomed out
Okay, yeah.
but it had all that energy had to go somewhere, so it sort of just ricocheted me off into the bushes. And these buggies, there's a technique that you've got to sort of do. Once they get sideways, you've got to keep the accelerator on. Otherwise, once they're sideways, they'll tip. They roll over really easy.
Yeah.
They're stable in a straight line, but when you're going sideways, they're not that stable.
Yeah.
So as soon as it went into that whoop and then bucked out, I had to just get hard on the gas to keep it on its wheels.
Yeah.
That meant us going through the bush.
Yeah.
And I kid you not, we were breaking trees the size of your leg.
Wow.
It was snapping over the car.
Jeez.
Anyway, we got wedged into the third tree. We'd hit a couple, broke them, wedged into the third one. And I'm just screaming in the helmet like, wow, swearing my head off, because I thought, that's it. Again, 3 years in the making. You just did a great day one. You've thrown it, like all these things. I'm just having a shot at myself.
Yeah.
Anyway, the navigator, Jeremy's yelling out, I'll jump out and check it. I'm like, nah, stay in. I was just going to back it up and then just drive the rest of the 20 Ks on 3 wheels. I was just going to drag its ass in. Anyway, the track's not too far from the access road or the service road. Like, I could see it. And I said to him, right, let's just get over to the service road. We were on flat ground, and then do a quick assessment. So I'd calm down, within a couple of minutes I'd calm down. And right, let's do this. So we went over there, and he's jumped out, and he said, mate, it's just the wheel. Like, I thought the whole front of the car had been ripped off. That's what it felt like, because it was nose down.
Yeah.
Anyway, so great. Change the wheel, let's get going. So he did that. We'd lost a fair bit of time by the time he got out of the tree, driven over to the access road and thrown this spare wheel on. But he threw the spare wheel on in record time, showed some great experience and a calm head. So, yeah, good on you, Jeremy. And, mate, we mowed it on back in the last 20 Ks. Ended up 9th.
Well done. That's amazing. That's amazing.
Really happy with that. I mean, they also, mind you, this race, over half the field didn't finish.
Yeah, right.
So that's how hard it was. It was very tough this year. And
what makes it harder? Is it the wet conditions that make it harder?
In terms of hard, no, mechanical failure.
Okay.
Yeah. It's so rough. So, and you're trying to push, and cars are just braking. Yep. So
now let's go back a little bit. What's a whoop?
A whoop. Okay. So a whoop is, think of the waves in the sand.
Yeah.
And they're just really deep. So they can be spaced, to give the audience sort of an idea, say 3 meters apart and a meter deep.
Oh, okay.
So it's just like you see those little ripples in the sand, like in water, but these are huge ones, like a meter deep and 3 meters apart, and kilometers of them. Just it's like driving on an oversized washboard.
Yeah, okay. That's when you see them bouncing.
Yep.
Yeah, vehicles bouncing. Okay.
Yeah.
Holy hell, mate.
Yeah.
And how did you feel when you finished the race? Like, I know probably fast forward a bit too much there, but when you finished, were you elated, ecstatic? Were you disappointed? How did you feel? Must have been a flood of emotions there.
I was flat.
Oh, yeah?
Yep. I thought I'd be excited, but I was flat. It had been such a journey. It was probably like an anticlimax.
Is that, you think, because of the excitement, the prep, all the stuff you went through, the 2Ks out, what happened to the trailer, to eventually doing it, to doing 5, to then wedging the tree?
Yeah.
You can just, was all that hype and then suddenly finished.
I was in adrenaline for the 2 weeks we were there.
Yeah.
And then now it's finished, and that's the end of the story. That's sort of how it felt. That's the end of the story. Right, you're done. Okay. Wrap it up. Close the book. So it was, look, I don't want to downplay. I was happy.
Yeah.
I was a little bit emotional about it because, I ticked that box. I'd gone full circle, but I'd felt a bit flat, strangely enough.
Okay.
I just wasn't as hyped up. I mean, if I'd got podium or something like that and the story continued.
Yeah.
Something different might have felt a bit different, but just a little bit flat.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you now too, with all due respect, obviously, so I don't want to offend you with this question, but I do want to ask this. How does the track feel and the race, the adrenaline, how does Jamie feel racing bikes compared to buggy? Can you take us through that? Like, is it still the adrenaline junkie? Is it still up there?
The fact, back racing, I'm loving that. Yeah. That adrenaline and that buzz is back. It's the same as on the bikes.
Yeah, right, okay.
But I have no interest in the bikes.
Really?
I was watching the bikes running up and down the track practicing, so I could hear them, wide open, going through the desert, beautiful sights and sounds, of racing. And I just had at no point did I think, geez, I wish I was back on a bike. No, it was really strange. I'm really enjoying the buggy. I'm really gelling with this racing of the buggy. It's my main focus at the moment. So yeah.
New challenge.
New challenge.
New challenge for the adrenaline junkie, of course.
Yeah, new challenge. But in terms of racing, the adrenaline was there.
Okay, yeah.
That anticipation, that unknown stuff, and that eyeball and everyone else going, oh, what do you got, sort of thing. That was all
the death looks.
Yeah,
good.
Yeah.
And so what's happened since then, mate? So you finished Fink and did you come back home and then you're flat again, or were you just thinking, okay, no, what's next? What's the next race? Let's really test what I can do with this buggy and let's see what this buggy can do. Like what was next?
Yeah, look, immediately I was thinking of next year.
Okay.
Think again next year. That's just going to be my doing well there, like podium there is what I would really like.
Okay.
But I just came back and I started doing some local races.
Okay.
Enjoying the fact that I can get back out and do what I used to do on the bikes and the social side of it, catching up with mates, the banter, being included.
Yeah.
Being the guy in a wheelchair that's in a paddock, battling through the mud, but wanting to be part of it. So that was that's really enjoyable for me now. Yeah, just being back to normal, I suppose. That's how it feels.
I was going to ask that question too, where it said we talked about one of our original podcasts, and you said you really enjoyed the blokes around you, particularly who just treated you as you, not the disabled Jamie in a chair now. And you find that. You said that, I feel included now. Did you feel when it first happened there was a fair bit of isolation, and now you're not feeling as isolated anymore?
Definitely, definitely. And a lot of the isolation is probably in my head too. But
okay,
some mates didn't know how to interact with me. We talked about this before, where they were unsure. How my emotions were, how I was mentally, and what to say, and all that sort of stuff. So I sort of had to put them at ease just by me, I suppose.
Taking
the piss out of myself, that sort of thing. So, but yeah, it's good to be back doing that sort of thing. I mean, if some of the guys, and mind you, I mean, the sledging's pretty thick. If some of the bystanders that walk past us go, oh my God, they're saying that to that poor fella in a chair,
I'm sure you'd be giving it back, mate. I'm sure you're completely the
It's thick and fast. You've got to be thick-skinned for sure. Yeah, it's good.
And have you gone with the local races, and how many have you had since Fink?
Only just a couple.
Okay.
We had Kempsey, which was really good. I loved Kempsey, beautiful track. Also part of it's seeing some great country, down in New South Wales. Kempsey was a really good track. Loved it. It was a bit wet, but the little four-wheel drive buggy that I raced really came to the head. So we qualified third outright in amongst big V8 buggies and trucks and equipment that's far more expensive than what I've got.
Yeah.
But on the first race, I had a DNF. I had mechanical failure.
Okay.
So, and something I couldn't fix.
Okay.
So we ended up just wrapping it up and coming back home.
Yeah.
And just the other weekend now, we raced down at, it's got me now, Milberdale.
Okay.
And Milberdale Classic. And didn't qualify that well. Didn't know the track, see.
Yeah.
So I'm still chasing navigators. I've got to find a navigator that can be a permanent navigator for me.
Well, you said the word "we" before. I'm just thinking, are you just ripping people off the street again and say, "Hey, come navigate for me"?
Every race I've had a different navigator.
Yeah, wow.
And it's usually just through social media. Is anyone up? Is any navigators out there interested in jumping in the car with me?
Yeah.
Because I'm traveling a lot. Like it's hard to ask a couple of mates here, to devote that amount of time.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with doing that now, but it just means most of the tracks, the navigator's not really doing navigator things. They're not saying, mate, up here there's a left, or up here watch out for that creek, or so I'm driving and trying to race as fast as I can on just what I can see in front of me.
Yeah, wow.
So the navigators I'm getting are just guys that I need, obviously, to change a spare tire or help me in and out of the car.
And how fast is the buggy going?
So max speed is, like I said, 145, 150. Yeah, but the local stuff is more in and out of the trees and a bit more technical sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So
I'm just trying to picture you, or put myself in your seat, trying to picture navigating but seeing, and then everything's blurring, going that fast. So it'd be full on for you.
Yeah.
You must be physically exhausted by the end of the race, are you? Are you shattered?
I am.
Yeah.
It's hard getting in and out of the car. It's physical. But I'm surprised at how tired I am.
Yeah.
Considering how fit I used to be.
Yeah.
But driving it's quite hard. It's quite physical. Because you're pushing on the brake as hard as you can. Like it's all upper body, right?
Yeah.
But we're strapped in pretty well. And
And how'd you end the last race?
No, it was a disaster. They broke it up into two groups. So I qualified and I was in the fast group, which was great. But what was happening was they were leaving two cars at a time every 15 seconds, I think it was. And I was next to a big V8 buggy, one of those big things. And I was like, okay, shit. So
you deep down, you would have loved it though. You go, here we go, bring that on,
right.
bring it on.
Me and my little golf, they call them golf carts, right? So I was in my little golf cart next to this big thing. Anyway, he took off. The first part of the track was a dead straight, and he just had the legs on me, so he took off. But I caught him pretty much in the first corner and sat behind him for most of it. And we got tangled up a couple of times, and it was my fault, just being impatient. But in one corner there, we bumped, and it broke something on the front end of my car. Anyway, I got past him after we bumped, and there was this long straight, and I didn't realise that the part was broken on the front. I couldn't feel it, right? So I was just flat stick going down this straight, and I went right. Oh, here comes that corner. This hard left-hander braked, but soon realised that my steering was gone, and so I said to the navigator, because we've got intercom in the helmets, I said, "Shit, I've lost the steering." And I didn't hear much from him. Obviously, he's probably thinking in his head, shit. And we've come into this corner, and I've just hit. They had tractor tyres down to show you where the corner was, because it was out in the field. And I hit one of those tractor tyres at speed, and it just slingshot me into the air. So 4 barrel rolls later, we came to a halt. Everything was smashed on the car from front to back. So... my wallet's really hurting.
And no injuries from you though?
But no injuries, no. They're very, very safe. They're very strong. Broken wheels, broken suspension, all sorts of things. So that was the weekend done.
Yeah, wow.
Look, it's part of racing, I understand that, but I've just got to, slow it up a little bit.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I'm still too eager.
Yeah. But that doesn't cause like doubt, hesitation. Can you just roll with that? Can you roll with saying, that's part of race, and now we got off scot-free and we're back again? Like, is that your mindset?
It'll just for sure. I'm still going to push.
Yeah,
that's just in me. I'll always still push. I think hopefully, and I say hopefully because it's always different once you throw that helmet on and you're in race mode. But hopefully, I've just got the patience and the mindset to go, look, just ease up, son, because you'll wreck your weekend. Yeah, I really wanted to finish that weekend.
Okay,
yeah.
Okay, now I've got another question, because you talked about you have the mindset now to slow down and be more cautious, that kind of stuff. I don't know if we really got into the guts of it. I don't know whether you're ready to open up about this stuff, but I don't even know if there's a reason. But the question is, what makes Jamie want to push? Is there something that's deep down that gives you that drive in life? I'm not just talking about racing. You're talking about your social crew, you're good bloke there. Like you got your buggy now, and we're on bikes, and you're going hell for leather, and now you're in a buggy going hell for leather. And you can never say, you're adrenaline junkie, and I was born that way. But is there something that drives Jamie? Is it something to prove? Is it something that is inbuilt? Is it something you're trying to show? I don't know. I'm not asking am I getting too deep with the question, or is there something that is what drives you? What makes you that person you are that wants to do?
Yeah.
150%.
Yeah. Whoa. Yeah. A lot of things are going through my mind at the moment.
Okay.
I definitely enjoy the thrill of it. Like that's at the core, right? I love the thrill of it. I love really pushing. I love coming so close to that edge that, sometimes you just think, oh, wow, that could have been bad. If you come through a corner and do a big slide and just miss a tree or something like that. Like I love that adrenaline spike.
Yeah.
But, I've got to be honest here, I suppose. Yeah, I also love the recognition. I suppose I love the fact that I'm better than majority of the field. I love that challenge.
Yeah.
I love the fact that there's faster guys in front of me that I've still got to ask more of myself.
Okay.
Which means not only myself but mechanically and all the things that go into racing.
Yeah.
But the recognition, I suppose, is probably where you're touching on, and where does that come from? Probably from maybe childhood and that sort of thing. Had sort of a little bit of a rough childhood, so maybe that's still burning inside me. Chasing that sort of recognition.
Okay.
Because it's a chest pump moment when they call out your name and say, mate, Jamie's third, or you've done well. So maybe that's a bit deeper there. There's probably a bigger conversation there.
Yeah.
But I think that's probably part of it.
All right, we'll explore that conversation maybe another time.
Yeah, we could go really deep there. I'm probably thinking, but that's recognition is one of it. But definitely just pushing myself, testing myself.
Yeah. What do they say? Going to get the cliche now, right? Is it? Babies cry for it, old men die for it. Recognition and being heard, and
right.
I don't think you're alone there. But okay. You just talked about mechanical, and I had a fleeting memory going back in. You're talking about the trailer. So what happened? You obviously didn't tow the trailer on your bloody electric bike. So
no,
the mini Jesus came in with his single light on his bike, and his camper's gone. What the hell?
So because the axle was broke, the suspension and stuff was broken, and we had to get it fixed. So we had to put a plan together to how do we get this trailer back, or how do I get it fixed? Right. So we're 100 k's out of Alice on a dirt road. So we put a plan together. I said, right, we'll tow the trailer back, and we'll take the buggy off so that the trailer's not carrying all that weight, and we'll just drive nice and slow, and we'll head back into town. And so I was basically just towing the trailer with the car, and the buggy was on the dirt road behind me. And we did a couple of k's. We got probably about 60 k's in, and it was just getting too much. We were going to damage the trailer more. There was bits dragging and that sort of thing. So I said, right. I said to one of the boys that I was with, I said, right, you stay here with the trailer, because there's a whole bunch of expensive stuff on the trailer. Let's just park it on the side of the dirt road. Park it here. You stay here. And Al and I will quickly race into town, and we'll buy the parts from a trailer shop that we need, and we'll come back and we'll fix it. That way we can just drive back into town. So that was the idea. Al and I race into town. I grab all the parts we need. We grab some Red Rooster because Brendan, the guy that's sitting at the trailer, he's no doubt going to be hungry. So we grab him some Red Rooster. I've got these parts sitting in the trailer, and we're racing back to the trailer. We got to about the 50k mark, maybe about 10 k's to the trailer. And mind you, there's a lot of traffic on these dirt roads. Other racers are coming backwards and forwards and doing all sorts of things. A stone bounces off one of the cars in front of me and goes straight through my radiator.
Oh my gosh!
In this, mind you, it's a Volkswagen van, and that's something to keep in mind for this story. and then the dash lights up, and then we lose all this radiator fluid, so we've got to park on the side of the road. So now we've got no service. Brendan's just sitting there thinking, okay, what's going? They should have been here by now, and we just parked on the side of the road with a leaking car. And I'm in a wheelchair. So,
and do you know what time roughly it's around?
This is probably around about 4-ish, I reckon. Right, so it's starting to get dark and cold. Anyway, so I had to use. There's no other way I could do it. We had to use the passing cars basically as communication. So I'd wave a car down, say, which was heading in the trailer direction. I'd wave the car down. So, hey, listen, if you don't mind, can you, first of all, take this Red Rooster. Can you take this Red Rooster to my mate up the road? Yeah. And just let him know that we've got the parts, but we're stuck, and this is what's happened to my car, so he's not fretting, right? Yeah. And, the funny part is that he's telling his part of the story, and he's like, yeah, I was just sitting there and this car pulls up, and I said, hey, are you hungry? And he's going, yeah, why? Oh, I got you some Red Rooster. He's like, oh, what a champion. What's going on? And then, another car would come back from his direction, and they'd go, yeah, he said, thanks for the Red Rooster. It's all good.
So funny.
And then one of my mates came past, and he says, I said, listen, just take my RSCQ card, tell him where I am, tell him we need 2 trucks, one for tilt trays, one for my car and one for the trailer. And yeah, hopefully they'll come out. So there was no way I could get confirmation whether he got through to them or anything like that. So I was just sitting there. Al and I are sitting there. We started a fire. We're chatting, and then it's getting cold. So then I wave down another car, give them the jacket and jumper for Jones. And, so there was this sort of thing going on. Anyway, after, it must have been, 8, 9 o'clock or something, I see 2 trucks coming in the distance, which was great. But just before the trucks turned up, because a couple of cars could see the fire. Now, cars were coming past late at night and they'll see the fire stop and, you boys right? And like, yeah, we've got it all under control. There's not much more can be done. We're waiting on some trucks.
Yeah.
And one car pulls up and I hear Al chatting to him while I'm sitting around the fire. And then I just hear because I can just gently hear the conversation, and I hear, who's that guy in the chair? And I goes, that's Jamie. He goes, oh. And then I hear the door close of the car, and then the car drives over. This 4-wheel drive drives over to the fire, and I'm thinking, oh, this is a bit strange. What's going on here? Out pops Bradley Dunn. Bradley Dunn is the guy that was in the helicopter in the Royal Flying Doctor Service.
No way.
The other spinal injury patient that was with me when he crashed.
Gosh.
And because he's an Alice Springs local, he jumps out of the car.
No
Remember,
way.
this is the fella that we said on the podcast that walked. What was it? 6 weeks after surgery.
Yeah.
He's the one that managed to walk out of the spinal rehab. So I was like, oh wow, this is like we're both looking at each other. This is spooky.
Yeah.
He's like, man, what? How? He said, I've been following you on Facebook. I knew you were coming. He said, I was hoping to catch up with you, but just for it to happen like this. So we just sat there and chatted, and great guy. He was on his way back home after doing some stuff out in the bush, but didn't race home. Stayed with us, made sure everything got sorted out. Just a top bloke, and he's still got his bit of a journey. Like he's back walking, but he's not 100%. So he's still got his journey that he's going through. But it's just good to see him. Just to recap,
connection, mate. A real connection. Isn't it?
Yeah. And so look, we ended up getting the truck, the trailer and my car back. But the reason I mentioned it is Volkswagen because they wouldn't even know what Volkswagen is in the territory. Like everything's Toyota, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So not only was there no one that could do anything, there wasn't even a radiator repair place in Alice Springs. And, the urgency was that when we got back, like I know the territory and I know that what that meant could have been 2 weeks. We could have been in Alice Springs for 2 weeks trying to sort this out. I rang the insurances. They were like, no, it's okay. We'll get it sorted for you. And then as the hours went on, they were like, oh, actually, I don't think we're going to get it sorted. So then the conversation changed to, well, we'll get your we'll get your car and your trailer. We'll tow it back to Brisbane. I'm like, we're in Alice Springs. Do you realise what you're saying? Like how much that's going to cost you?
Yeah.
So my navigator's father, Dave Kempston, who was just awesome in the background for the whole of race event. He was that guy that was just scrambling in the background, making stuff happen for me, right? He was great. And he said, you wouldn't believe it, but I'm an ex-Volkswagen mechanic.
No way.
I was like, come on. Who's God's puzzling this together for me,
Yeah.
So
he likes giving you like the ups and the downs, doesn't he? Like,
he's got me on strings, right? He's playing
Puppeteer.
he's playing puppet with me. But I was like, Dave, are you serious? He goes, yeah, mate, I could probably have that changed in an hour. So I said, well, okay, well, what do you want me to do? He goes, leave it with me. I'll go through my contacts. I'll get another radiator sent up, and we'll get it changed. So he did that. He got the radiator sent up, but we just ran out of time. Like he was busy doing stuff, and it was hectic. So I said, okay, sweet, leave it with me. I'll have to fix it. Right? I'm the only one sort of with enough mechanical skills to try and fix this in our group. So I jumped out of my chair onto the ground.
wow.
I'm sitting on the ground, and I'm repairing this radiator. I couldn't throw the new one in, but I could at least repair the one in my car.
Yeah.
So I actually had to break more of the grill to get access to the radiator, and I'm in there fixing it. And because of my old man, And because of some of the things he's taught me in the territory, I was using all the old bush tricks.
Yeah, wow.
So not only did we get some stuff from Super Cheap that you could, like a glue and a putty that you could put over the radiator, and I did that, but it was still leaking. I said, right, so we'll do the next thing. We'll fill it full of pepper. Right, so you put pepper in a radiator in a coolant system, and it will help block any pin prick holes. Yes, yeah. It slowed the leak down.
Wow.
But it didn't fully seal it off. I'm like, okay, well, what else can you do? And the next one's eggs. You put an egg in your radiator fluid.
No way.
Yep. Trust me, you ask around, you put an egg in there and it will cook in there, and then as it goes out the hole, it blocks up the hole.
What?
So it's blocked up. And I can kid you not, the radiator's still in. I'm still driving around at the moment because I haven't had time. I'm still driving around with pepper and egg smells come out of my car.
I can't believe this is legit.
Yeah, legit. You could have a look at it on the way out.
You just start writing a book, mate. This is crazy.
It's legit. So I had to actually break away some of the grill so I could get my hands into in behind there, and there I was with this putty, wedging it all up and trying to straighten out the radiator, and then that didn't work. So put a shitload of pepper in there. Yeah, and we didn't have to do the eggs. So, but the pepper finally stopped it. Yeah, but I've probably got those cylinder containers.
Yeah,
I've probably got half one of them in there. Like it's not a sprinkle. It's not like it's not like you put pepper on a steak. You got to throw a shitload in there for it to work.
Hell!
So, but yeah, it's sealed up.
That's
and
insane.
It got us all the way back. So we towed the trailer, finally got the trailer fixed.
Yeah,
and made it towed it all the way back. Yeah, so
mate, that's. Sounds like you had the race before you even started the race. That's crazy.
By the time I got to the race, I was exhausted.
You probably think this is the easy part now.
It was it, but I, and that's why I want to go back is because if I had a better prep, I'd like to think I can do better because I wasn't really. I actually don't think I was ready for the race.
Yeah,
I'd had so much going before the race.
Yeah,
and my navigator. So him and I had never even been in the car together. So the day before the race.
That's insane.
We get a quick chance to jump in. He comes around to the campsite because he had his own things that he had to do. I had stuff going on. We never had a chance to do it down here.
Yeah,
and the day before the race, I said, "Listen, mate, we finally the car's going, everything's sorted. We've got to just jump in this buggy, you and I, because I don't even know what you're going to say to me. Like, what's your communication skills?" What are the key things that we need to say to each other? Like, I like instructions a certain sort of way. I don't want to be overfed with information sort of thing.
His was probably going to be like, slow down.
Slow down and ease up there, son. But yeah, so the day before, and we just went up the Todd River, which was behind where we were camping. And we just went for a quick run. And he was awesome. He goes, "Yep, no, I know what you want." And so it worked out really well.
So good, mate.
Yeah.
So good.
It was really good.
What an adventure.
Oh, it's
insane.
It is insane. I suppose that when you're living it and you're doing it, you don't think of it. But when you look back, you go, "Oh, that's a little bit crazy." Like even to, it's a big risk to drive the car back with the hope that the pepper was going to hold up, towing a trailer. So the car's under load and under stress all the way back for 3 days. What if it had, now that I look back, what if halfway across the Barkley Highway it decided to just cark itself?
Yeah.
Then what? Like, imagine the logistics then. You're 4 hours, 5 hours away from any sort of civilization or service station or, anything like that. So I often do that. I just do, with the faith that it'll be right.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't actually think of the consequences.
No. Maybe you should write a book called "You Wouldn't Even Think of It."
You wouldn't think.
Do you like that?
Yeah.
I'll throw a dad joke in this.
Nice. Yeah, there wasn't.
Mate, I'm serious. You should write a story about this. This is crazy. Your journey from, from being an avid bike rider to the accident to the buggy to all the incidents happen. Like you could write a story, mate. Honestly, about things that are happening so far, and the story's still going, isn't it? The story's still going. It's not.
It's evolving, and that's the beauty of it. Like I'm enjoying. I just don't know what's next.
Yeah,
and I suppose part of it is because I'm always asking myself what's next for me.
Okay.
You know, as we've discussed before, so I'm back mountain biking, I'm back riding motorbikes again, I'm racing buggies. I'll be honest, I'm already thinking about what's next.
You often still talk about that connection with others. You still talk about inclusivity, and you also talk about, great mates. You also talk about, community. And I think that's a lot of people who go through adversity, they get that thing, the loneliness factor. And I think loneliness is a secret, that's sort of the silent killer at the moment.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, everything that I'm doing, there's a group in there somewhere. As much as I'm putting a helmet on and I'm in my own little world, but there's always something in the background that there's a group factor to it. You know, the camping part of it for me, there's always good. Mountain biking, you're always doing it with someone else, and finding out there's some other boys around Brisbane that are adaptive mountain bike riders as well, and similar situation to me. So, and we all think the same. We're all nutters, right? Yeah. So it's sometimes we all speak the same language when we're adrenaline sort of guys, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah. No, it's good. It's really good.
All right, mate. Well, I've got 2 more questions for you, if that's all right, because I want to get some more information from you. Tell me a little bit about, now I went past the buggy before and I saw the numbers 639. 639. So tell me a bit about, is there a certain reason why the number is there?
Yes. So many, many years ago when I was a young fella, I needed a number plate for my little mini bike, and my father, he cut, I'm pretty sure it was a cutting board. It was either that or an ice cream container or something along those lines, right? And he put some sticky tape on it and gave me the number 39. And, it was a few years ago now, but he had kept it in the shed all these years. And one day he just gave it to me, and it was only then that I went, right, I've got to use 39. So all my Fink racing, I've had 39 in my number. So depending on what class I was in, so class 7, right, which was for an age group, I was always 739. And then when I moved up to class 8, 839, and so on and so on. And then to my surprise, when I started racing the buggies and I registered nationally for a race number, I'm racing in class 6 buggies. That refers to the type of buggy that I've got. They said, yeah, mate, 639's available. So I registered it, and it's my national number now. So any race I go to, I'm 639.
That's amazing.
So, and I told the old man that, I said, listen, you wouldn't know this, but that little number that you gave me, for all those years back, he's like, oh yeah, that bloody bit of plastic I gave him. I said, yeah, well, I've sort of made a tradition out of that. Every year, all my numbers have all been with 39 in it. So. You got a bit of a kick out of it, I mean, that's all it was. It was just sort of, I suppose, recognition of him and sort of.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, so, but yeah, 39.
39, all right. Remember that next time we play Keno? 39, then together.
39, yeah, it's lucky.
It's well, that's what I mean. It's stuck with you, and you've come a long way in your journey.
Yep.
All right. The other question to ask is that I did see a little clip the other day on you on the project as well. So you're starting to get a bit of media attention, aren't you? Like you're starting to get people actually starting to understand the real story behind Jamie, aren't they?
Yeah.
So take us through that. How was that experience? And how did that come across? Yeah.
So because of the whole TJM thing, they said, they recognised it as well. They said, listen, we need to get some sort of PR involved with this. So they had a PR team who put together some clips and reached out to a couple of the channels. And the project just grabbed it and said, yeah, we'll run with this. So they came out and interviewed us and asked a few questions, and it felt a bit like being on this podcast, on the spotlight sort of thing. But it was a good experience, and I enjoyed the recognition again. Yeah. That's another sort of thing to it.
Yeah.
But they asked also some of the questions that were hard at the time to sort of answer, but are getting easier for me, and I'm happy to talk about it. But at any stage, but they asked about depression and suicide, those sorts of things. And I was reserved about sort of acknowledging those things because I knew it was going to be on national TV and my face was going to be, so I'm, because some of this stuff I don't even talk to with my friends as much as I'm open with it on this sort of forum and this media.
Yeah.
I'm not always just upfront about it with friends, right?
Yeah.
But not that I'm hiding it.
No.
So, but yeah, things like that were a little bit confronting.
Yeah.
I mentioned it. I talked about it. I acknowledged it happily and freely. But the experience was good. And that led into a bunch of other things. So I did a couple of 4BC interviews.
Yeah.
I did one actually out at Fink, like when we were out 100 k's out.
Beautiful.
Which was funny because you could picture this. I'm sitting in a wheelchair in the desert, talking to some fella on the on 4PC doing a live cross, and then when I came back, we did some in studio stuff.
Yeah,
and that's led on to my want to do some keynote speaking.
Yeah, great.
Which I've wanted to do for a while.
Yeah,
and through that and through the contacts at TJM, that's led on to some catch ups and some meetings with Stephen Bradbury.
Oh, nice. Okay,
and he's gratefully offered his assistance with me getting into that sort of thing. So I've gone and watched him do a couple.
Yep, nice.
And great speaker, great guy. And his story is a great story.
Yep.
But it's just shown me that, it's made me drive me even more, want to share my story.
Yeah, beautiful.
Stay tuned. There could be something in that too. That's going to be nervous for me, getting up and talking. It's easy to chat with you. You're a mate. We're in my home, but getting up in front of an audience and they're going, right, well, tell us something.
But I think you'll be fine, mate. You talk from the heart, and I think that's the bloke you are, and I think that's what's going to connect with everyone. Everyone who talks to me about you come on the podcast, you just say, you can just tell, you can just feel him. Yeah, and I think that's the secret you got, mate. So, mate, it's been a pleasure as usual.
Yeah, no, it's been
unbelievable.
It's been we always say we should do more of it, and
there's always more to the journey, isn't there? There's always more coming up. I'm always nervous. There's always something comes out of the back.
I feel like I've got to do something crazy just so I've got some more material for you.
At all. No, I love you reaching out to, and I think it's fantastic what you're doing, mate. And I think you being a guest speaker will also touch the lives of a lot of people too who are going through adversity.
Yeah, right. Good.
And different adversity too, and also mental health stuff. I know we only touched on it too, and you sort of touched on this then, but I just think a lot of that stuff, we need to do that. We need to be open about that and talk about our struggles, and to people realise that we all have a shit. We all wear a mask. Listen to a audio book on the way over here, and they're talking about it's called Surrounded by Idiots, and they always talk about different personalities and how we always wear a different mask no matter where we are, just to fit in and be accepted. But if we actually take that mask off and we're our authentic self, and people accept us who we are, that's where we really belong. That's where we actually feel connected, don't you think?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. I agree. It is something that people aren't don't find it comfortable talking about. And I'm still I'm getting there myself, but I think what helped me is when someone else is vulnerable and they do share their story, and immediately you sort of say to yourself, oh shit, okay, well they went through this and they're doing okay. And if that's the message that I can get across, is that look, I'm doing okay. Yeah. And I was where you are. I was in that hole. I talked about it before. And in a deep hole. I suppose it really shows that there's light at the end of the tunnel, because it's easy to say, look, no, you'll be right. This just you'll be okay. It's everything will be fine. But it's always different to show by example, or not lead by example, but just show by example that you were in the same spot and you can come out of it. Yeah. So anytime I talk to people, particularly in the spinal ward, I don't try and motivate them. Yeah. I hope that they get some sort of motivation or something out of the fact that just my story. So I did do a presentation not that long ago down there. Okay. Yeah. And all I did was just show them where I was, how I had this great life, that I was happy and doing all these things, and then disaster. And I lost my identity. I had to reinvent myself. I had to struggle and navigate life again. You know, and here I am now today. I'm different, yes, but I'm not who I was before. Even mentally and physically, I'm obviously not the same person. I'd like to think hopefully I'm a better person in some ways in terms of my outlook, and my mindset now is very different to what it was before. Yeah. I was probably a little bit blasé before, but now, I enjoy and soak in the moments a lot more. Yeah. Yeah. But if people get that out of my story, then I think that's a good thing, right?
They've inspired for sure.
Yeah.
Mate, thanks for your time. Thanks for being vulnerable and open. And I'm sure people love this podcast and just to hear, again, some of the things you're going through, but also, the things that aren't just smooth sailing. You talk about Fink, you talk about the last race, whether you've tumbled the buggy, but you're still back and you got more goals, and I'm sure it's going to inspire the people as well.
There's more to come.
Look forward to it, mate. Thanks for your time tonight.
All right, thanks, guys.